They cut blue, so we cut yellow. Cut the yellow, cut the yellow, cut the yellow.
Of course.
Are you kidding me?
The fact that we had to watch Q go home for the second time was heartbreaking, And then Michael, if Michael is not the mole, then I don't get what he thinks he's up to. Really, I really don't get what he thinks he's up to, because he keeps wasting money, and I don't get why people don't call him out. But then I don't know as well why someone hasn't sort of targeted him as the mole, unless they did target him and they were sent home. But hey, it is what it is. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing The Mole, Season 2, Episode 7. I'm sad. For Q to come back and then be sent home again doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Unless the producers paid him, unless he was their mole and they needed him for one final run before they sent him home, because it doesn't make sense that he comes back. Obviously, he already knows what answers he put in that were incorrect. He can't come back and make the same mistake. He should be ahead of everybody else. So it's one of two things. Either it was a setup by the producers. Maybe he was their initial mole and it was time for him to go so that they could switch in for somebody else. Because this is something I've been thinking of, that maybe they're constantly rotating the mole and it's never one person from the start. I don't know. So it's sad to see him go. I would really have loved for him to stay on the show until the very end. I suspected him to be the mole, but since he's gone, I guess he's not the mole. So this time when he leaves, everybody's a bit settled. I think they're at peace because at least he got a second shot and he left them with 40K, which they really appreciate that, you know, at least he left them with 40K. I don't like Nish's comment though that, oh, he was trying to be a good guy. He wasn't being selfish. You need to be selfish in order to win. That's not most people. Some people are just not selfish by nature. You can't blame someone that they're not selfish. That's not who he is. He played his game the way he wanted to play his game, and he can lift with his head held high, and I'm happy for him. So the participants then get into a car and go to another part of the island because they're in Kuala Lumpur. So they go to a sort of a fishery plant or something where they process a lot of minerals. And so they are divided into 3 groups. There's cash placed in 10,000 piles. There's 1, 2, 3 zones. So on the zones, there's the 10,000 and then there's a detonator. So they have to weigh 9 kilograms in order for the detonator to open so that they can stop the timer. If they don't stop the timer in 60 seconds, then the money is gone. So then because of that, it's interesting that Muna volunteered to work with Hannah. It makes sense because she really hasn't worked with Hannah, as she says, but I was very suspicious as to who she chose to work with, or maybe she thought Hannah wouldn't notice what she was doing and she thought the others are maybe too suspicious of her, so she wanted to go with someone who doesn't suspect her a lot, because my money's still on Muna being a mole. So they're in zone 1. Second zone was Ryan and Michael. Those 2 have been suspected to be moles by everybody for quite some time. So if they detonate their money, people are going to know that the mole is amongst the 2 of them. The third group was Sean, Diana, and Nish. And, well, Sean said he wanted to keep an eye on, Nish, and he wanted to sort of throw them off because Sean is saying that his goal is to try and get as many people as possible eliminated. That way he's the last man standing, and it's like, but still the mole will be standing with you. Are you going to be smart enough to outsmart the mole at the end of the day? That's the most important thing. That's the thing you should be worried about, and not getting rid of people, but be observant and sort of cautious that you're keeping an eye on the mole and you're going to outsmart them at the end of the day. I am speechless. To say I'm speechless is an understatement. Anyway, because you had Hannah and Muna, they were the first one to sort of decipher what to do, in the sense that they knew that they had to fill in the 9-liter gallon and then sort of empty it twice and be left with 1 liter, and then that 1 liter would equate to 1 kilogram. And then all they needed to do was to weigh 6 times, and they would have, the right math to sort of be able to to unlock the trigger and sort of turn off the light, and which they were able to do very quickly. They did it, I think, in about 18 minutes. And I don't understand how people in zone 3, when you had 3 people, they couldn't do anything. I don't get why Sean thinks it's a good idea for him to be sort of playing games with money and sort of trying to throw people off. I'm trying to sabotage to throw people off so that people... No, that's not good enough. That is not good enough. Why would you risk losing money just for the sake of it, for the fun of it, so that you are the only person left? Because at the end of the day, you still need to win something. If you lose everything, what are you going to win? Oh my God, I become emotional about this thing. So eventually, you have Sean, Nish, and Diana finally managed to decode what to do, and they're able, because Sean kept saying, let's open the clue, let's open the clue, let's open the clue, because he was saying, I want to throw them off, I want them to nominate me as the mole, that way they can go home. And it's like, that's not funny. That's very silly and very sort of narrow-minded. You're not thinking about the long game, because at the end of the day, you still need to win money. You still need to win money. The only money you have is the money that Q put in the thingy, because Nish was able to get rid of all the money. And then you have the 2 suspects, Ryan and Michael. They're working together. Now I'm starting to see Michael as the mole, because in the first challenge he said he was very slippery, so he couldn't sort of navigate the turntable that they had the shooter on, and every time he threw the first aid box to the bottom of the ocean, he actually threw it. And so I get why Ryan suspects him. And his behavior and is not helping situations, because it's just making things worse. And so you then have them eventually open the clue. They open the clue and they don't listen for instructions from other people, because with Sean, Nish, and Diana, they cut the red line because they had to do something, because they were still waiting for Ryan and Michael, and they couldn't continue to wait, otherwise they'd have lost all 30,000. And sadly, they cut the red wire, which meant that they cut the wrong wire, and so their money exploded. And then Hannah and Muna cut the red wire, and they were able to save their money. When Ryan and Michael was their turn, they were told, cut the blue wire. We cut the red. The other team was supposed to cut yellow, and yours is the blue. And Michael says, blue, 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 blue. And he ran and he cut it. Michael, to me, is becoming suspicious. Now that Q's gone home, my suspects are Muna is still number 1, Michael number 2, and Ryan number 3. And Michael is looking more and more like the suspect every single day. And so, because Michael cut the wrong wire, they lost another 10K. Well, because they lost 5K for the, for the clue, and then they lost whatever was left. And it's like, why would you seriously do that? Especially after telling everyone that, oh, I want to do something for my dad because he supported me when I came out and my mom passed away. So you told people the sob story so that they feel sorry for you. Ryan was right to say he's telling us a sob story because he doesn't want us to suspect him that he is the one who is the mole. And he's giving me mole behavior, and I'm starting to believe it. Well, everyone is still fuming. They're seething because they can't understand how Ryan and Michael didn't listen to the instruction, and they keep arguing. Well, Ryan is the one who spoke up on Michael's behalf that, oh, we didn't hear you. And it's telling me that she might be the mole, because why is she backing up someone she doesn't trust? Unless she doesn't want anyone else to know that she suspects that Michael is the mole. That's the only 2 reasons I can think of. Anyway, they're all told to pile back into their car. So in one car, you have Diana, Muna, Nish, and Michael. In the other car, you have Hannah, Ryan, and Sean. And so they're suddenly driven into the middle of nowhere to an abandoned building, and their cars are sort of facing one another, because at one point their cars split, and they're sent a message by Ari to say you need to choose 2 negotiators, and they're sort of wondering, who shall we choose? So in the other car, in the car of 3, Sean was able to convince Hannah and Ryan to let him go and negotiate, because he said, I used to be a cop, I used to negotiate. And it's like, I don't know who he was working undercover for, because he's got so many tells, it's unbelievable. And I don't get how he was able to get away with it, unless he's playing a very poor sort of disguise. Maybe that's what he's suddenly decided to do. That way people will vote for him and they don't end up finding out that he's actually not the mole. In the car of 4, everybody wants to be a negotiator because Muna says that's what I do for a living. Well, we all know Nish wants to be the leader, so he wants to go and negotiate. Michael said I'm a negotiator as well. He wants to go and negotiate. And because Michael has lost people's money so many times, people don't trust him. And Nish, I think he thought he was being smart because he then says, since Diana, you don't want to be a negotiator, you need to pick someone between the three of us to go and negotiate. And well, who does she pick? She picks Muna, and then Muna and Sean go and sit down with Ari, and Ari offers them two choices. Either, so you need to go back to your cars, you need to speak to the rest of the people in your car. You can either choose an exemption, and if you win an exemption, you're winning an exemption for the whole car, or you can choose money. If you choose money, both cars, then the money is doubled, and the money was 50k. So whoever chose 50k was going to go into the pot. And so if they both chose exemption, then no one was exempted and they would lose the money. And so everyone is nervous as to what's going to happen. Muna goes to the car and everybody's saying, go for exemption, go for exemption. But we all know Muna keeps talking about money, and she always says, I'm a refugee, I can't waste money, blah, 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 blah. And so although they have negotiations, they all are under the assumption that she's going to do whatever she wants to do at the end of the day, regardless of what we tell her. She will make her choice and she'll stick to it. And we cannot do anything at all. Michael discusses with his car. They decide that since it's only three of them, their best bet would be, because it's 1 in 3 chances of going home, so their best bet would be to go for the exemption. And it's like, oh my god, this is cutthroat. And the problem is there are 2 people who are playing naughty games in that car, plus Hannah, who's already gone for exemption. So I'm not surprised that Michael was going to go for exemption. They get back to Ari and sort of try to negotiate back and forth. And Muna actually tells Sean that if you go for exemption and I go for money, I'm going to be very upset with you, because you're telling me we're choosing the same thing and I'm believing you on the assumption that this is what you're going to do. So if you don't do that, I'm going to be furious. So anyway, they're given 2 cards, one with money, one with exemption, and they're told, go and think about it and then choose whichever one you want, put it in an envelope, and then come back. Which they did. But then what happened is Ari said, okay, now that you've done that, we'll go back to the rest of your team and we can open the envelopes in the presence of your team so that your team know exactly what's happening. And it's like, oh my God, this is messy. Anyway, the first envelope opened is Sean's card, which he chose exemption. Am I surprised? No, this is what they had agreed, and the plan was to play Muna. So apparently in the next episode, we get to see what Muna chose. I don't know. I love this season of The Mole. I really do. I wish they had extended more, more episodes, but then it is what it is. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 6. Bye guys.